listening to Make It, the indie film podcast. Hello, Chris here with another episode of the Make It podcast, and this is an Indie Talk week, and that means I have my good friend and co-founder with me, Nicholas Buggs, and our esteemed guest tonight, the one and only Tiffany Murray. Tiffany, Nick, say hello.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you. You know, I feel like as we've been talking for it's like weeks now, about getting you on here. So it's like, okay, it's finally here, we're making it happen.
Let's do it.
It's great to see you. And I just noticed something. I don't know why I just noticed this. I'm like, Chris, you notice, not only does she have the outfit to match one of the posters in the back, but I have the outfit to match the other poster in the back. So, yeah, I like it.
Well, you know what that true blue is.
I was going to say, do you know what this is?
Right. Well, let us know. Don't let me know.
I know what it is.
Let the people know.
Me and Tiffany know what that is.
MTSU banner.
There you go.
So yeah. I felt it's in my office, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense to have it in frame.
Yeah, me and Tiffany are both alumni of the same university, and I don't know if there's been a whole lot of people actually on the podcast that can say that. I think I'm thinking off the top of my head, I really don't know. I think it's just maybe me and you, but I could be wrong. Of course, producer Papa Bear can keep me honest on that and double check somehow. But I am glad you're on. I don't know if it feels like. Do you hate us? Because I don't know. Nick said weeks, but I feel like it's been months.
Well, for us to
we're supposed to get on.
Our post process has taken a lot longer than we expected to. So this is actually perfect timing with distribution and releasing the film. So that's why I didn't push any harder than I did. I was like, hey, this is a thing we should maybe do. And then I was like, well, it'll work out when it's supposed to work out. And now here we are, and it's working out perfectly. So
Exactly. Yeah. She loves us, man. She doesn't hate us.
Good. Well, now that we got that out of the way, now that we know it's all love, can you tell this audience a little bit more about who you are and why you would be on this podcast right now?
Yeah. So I am a writer, director, cinematographer, also producer. The film I most recently wrapped up is called 2 Lives in Pittsburgh, the number 2 Lives in Pittsburgh. And I was the producer and cinematographer on that project.
Got it. I love that. And the last time we talked, you had Southbridge podcast.
Yeah.
Is there an update on that? What happened with that? That was so well produced. It felt like 40s radio.
Thank you. That's exactly what we were going for. I am hopeful that one day we can turn it into a TV series. It's one of those things that it's going to take time and the right market and the right person to read the pilot. So we're just kind of letting it percolate. Right now, it doesn't make sense to do a second season of the podcast as is. But if it gets picked up by somebody or someone's interested in making a series out of it, it'll resurface.
I think a lot of people think that doing a podcast is like clicking record on your phone and saying stuff.
These people.
So much more.
These people,
it's so much more than that. Can you this was
big
a high,
even more than I realized.
Yeah, a big undertaking, like a high quality production. What is this? Are you at liberty to say what the budget is for this podcast, or was for the podcast?
We had about 10,000 ish, and 80% of I'll say 50% of it went to sound mixing and post sound design, music, and then the rest of it was shipping and paying actors. So shipping,
and by the way,
drives, yeah,
I say wow on the low side.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of good friends who are also voice actors and very talented. Specifically, Amy Kirsten, who helped produce and played one of the leads, Miranda. She brought together the most amazing cast of people some people that we knew, some people that we didn't, or that she knew and brought into the fold. And it just everyone got really excited about it and was like, okay, yeah, let's figure it out. Let's make it happen on whatever budget we have. So
for people that don't know, there's a little inside baseball with Amy Kirsten. First of all, incredible comedic actress from Kansas City. And do I have that right? Kansas City?
I think so. Kansas.
Yeah.
I don't know a specific count, but yeah.
Yeah, Kansas City. And when we first talked to you, she was on that podcast, but her audio was all jacked up because she was doing it
she was in a
her car.
Garage.
She was like in a parking lot. And I'm like, be careful. We actually we've done one other interview in a parking lot, and it was with the actor Chris Green. Right after George Floyd, we had him on to sort of talk about that. Underrated episode. Go back, listen to the second episode we had with Chris Green. It was great. And he was in his car, and it wasn't a big deal, but for her it was. And we ended up having to cut her from the episode completely. But she had me rolling. She's freaking funny. Yeah. And her funny. Yeah, naturally funny. Her comedic timing is sharp. And she's just like a ball to sort of be around. So hopefully we'll get a chance to circle back with her.
I actually saw her last weekend. So when I go to LA, she's who I stay with. She's my LA. I rent a room from her. So I was there for the Cinecure Expo last weekend. Or I guess, should I say last weekend? Because
I didn't know she was in LA.
Yeah. So she's based in LA. She's been there, I think, almost like 20 years.
Oh shit! So she was in LA. Yeah. She was in LA when we were talking. Then I just didn't remember that part. I just came back from LA, and I would have looked her up if I had sort of thought of that. You know.
Remember for next time.
You didn't have any time for
she's
that.
A blast.
You're too busy.
I had stuff,
turn and burn, man.
I had stuff going on, but it was a turn and burn. I need to go, but I do plan on going out there more often. I'll look her up. I'll take her to the commissary. And,
there you go.
I love the commissary. Like that's my jam.
It's a good spot for sure.
Shout out to Commissary Coffee in LA at all their spots, but especially Culver City where they're super nice. For real, man. So I mean, like I know a few places, and I won't say names. I know a few places they produce podcasts for corporations. They charge between $70,000 and $120,000 an episode.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's big.
Yo.
Well, we had people recording at home with whatever mic they could find, and then sending us their audio however they could figure it out. So, we had to re-record some things, but would it have been nice to fly everyone to LA and have everyone in the same room in a fancy studio? Yeah. But we looked into it and it was just like with COVID, because this was a COVID project, with COVID still on the brain and with the budget, it just didn't seem like the best use of our funds. So. And
I'm on the board of WPLN and NPR, and we did the Kids from Rutherford County, and that was like basically a serial EP thing. Where like they executive produced that and distributed it for us. And I'm not going to say the exact number because I don't want to get in trouble. But
how would anyone?
But the kids of Rutherford County cost 7 figures.
Yeah,
I'll just give it.
Not surprising at all.
But I think that included the distribution too.
Sure.
And the stuff you need to be successful, because it's one of the things that I guess we were talking about before we hit record. Or before we actually started, and something that, I mean, we've repeated this for years, but I think it's so important now, and it's even bigger now than when we've been talking about it in the past, when Nick and I were doing so much consulting. It's like everybody's attention is everywhere.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can have successful, organic, viral content that monetizes the way you could in the first, let's say, 10 years or 5 years of social media. Yeah. I honestly think the algorithms are set up where you either are on it all day, and so you get sort of rewarded like a casino for that, or you pay the beast. You put those ducats down, you put that money down, and then you get rewarded for paying for it. But they're running a business. They're not in the business of helping you be popular or helping your podcast blow up or helping your film get watched. And like, if you're not ready for that reality, you have another thing coming.
But I think they trick people into believing that virality is a thing because we still use that term, right?
Yes.
So it's like there was something my wife saw the other day where, it was a woman she's pregnant and they got the sonogram, and you look at the sonogram and the baby's on there doing this with the heart hands. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So you wait. Like legit, the baby's doing the heart hands, right?
Okay.
So this woman is a Swiftie, and apparently that's a thing in the Swiftie world, right? These little heart hands. So she posts this to social media, and it goes viral, right? So I think that legitimately happened. It went viral, but why did it go viral? And I think what happens is that it's the same thing. It's the algorithms. It's the companies who own that stuff. They're scanning that stuff, right? They're scanning the environment. They're scanning the comments. They're scanning the likes, and they're looking at ways to keep people on their platform, right? So then they make it go viral. It's not organic, right? The algorithm and the machine makes it go viral.
Push it to the right people.
Exactly. So it didn't just organically happen, but that's what people believe. Like, oh my gosh, she shared it, and then next thing you know, she was on TV. They wanted to interview her, and they did the whole thing because the video went or the picture went viral. So and another, it's not real.
Another part of virality, Nick, though, is the sharing, right? So the network effect, right? So your wife shared it with two people, and those two people share it with two people, and that's how things go viral. So that's tech world for language, for how virality works, which is called
how it's supposed to work. What I'm saying, it's still algorithmic effect where they're pushing it out.
No, I'm hearing that
because again, they just want.
But it is also regular virality still is a thing though.
Oh, I'm not going to say it doesn't exist.
If one person shares something with two people, then here's the thing: the bar for share is much higher than it used to be. Like, because we get deluged with content.
Is it though? You stop talking from your own perspective, man. You're talking like I talk now, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a very discerning, individual, and I have to, I was like, most people be like, oh, that's funny, share, bloop, 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 right? And then it's like those office memes, right? People share office memes every last time, every one they get,
like the show The Office.
And those office memes, exactly.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I'm saying. People just click, man. They just click and share. But you and I are like, oh no. There's way too much stuff, and our brand is behind this.
Frankly, not everything's funny, man. Like some things are corny, some things are funny.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, we can be corny, but the whole thing is like you're not going to share. I'm just saying, like even somebody who's on social media. I think the more you're on social media, actually, the less you share. Because you might share more in volume, but the less by percentage, because you're seeing so much stuff, and after a while it gets old. It's like oh my god, another one
times already,
or something like it. You can actually track who's copying who,
right? Yeah.
And how many '90s videos, my childhood was so awesome videos, were you going to share? How many? The 80s were awesome videos you're going to share. How many things about film and tricks on film?
The 90s were pretty tight. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I agree. Of course, our memory of it is all flawed. We did have Black Monday and Reagan and all this stuff, but whatever.
Those things happened.
But as kids, it was so great as kids. We had all the best shit, all the best things.
That's right.
So that is true, but I'm just simply saying, because I'm not really disagreeing with you. I'm saying the TikTok house is a great example of that.
Exactly. You got it.
You have people being really frustrated. Like, I dance better than that girl. Like, I'm posting a lot. I'm doing all this stuff, right, Tiff? And they're like, how come I'm not getting the likes and the follows that some of these TikTokers are? And I'm like, they live in a house. They get paid. The programming suggests you follow them when you sign on for the first time. This is how this works. It's it's that simple.
So wait, to bring it back though, the whole point is that at least I was making was that essence of organic virality is not something that filmmakers should be basing their marketing strategy on, right? It is putting that appropriate investment in the whole project, right? It's one thing to get the money to make something, and that's cool. Like if you just want to make it and be done with it, share it with your friends, share it with some, coworkers or whatever. Great. You did it. You put something in the world. But if your goal is to make money off of it, right, or to make a name off of it, then you got to put some other resources in it to do the marketing to get it out there in front of the people. So
money is the main part, because even though that girl with the heart, whatever,
the heart baby,
got on TV, was she able to monetize it?
Well, and will she ever
unless
again?
They paid her to get on the show.
Or are there now companies wanting to sponsor her because she has likes, and so they're like, hey, we're going to send you free things so that you'll promote them on your page, and then hopefully she's monetizing through material items.
I just want her to get those free Taylor Swift tickets. That's all. Exactly. You get those free Taylor Swift tickets, everything is worth it. The virality worked, Dude,
Taylor Swift tickets are crazy. She was performing in LA, and the aftermarket tickets, you couldn't get one for under $2,300. Can you imagine paying $2,300? Like, is Taylor Swift going to be to like six? Like, how we look at Bob Dylan now, where it's like, oh, pretty good lyricist, great lyricist. What's up with that voice? Like, is Taylor Swift going to be like that to like future generations? Like, wait, you guys were obsessed with her.
Right. Yeah. This is who you. Yeah. We're spending thousands of dollars on. Yeah.
Like, what's the there? Show me that. But now she's incredible, and she does have some like ginormous hits, but now she's in this other stratosphere that like Michael Jackson lived in.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, it's interesting. Yeah. That's all. She doesn't dance.
I think it's interesting that she has built like this community. I feel like other artists, they have fans, but she has like built this like mob like community of like diehard,
She even made Nick say it.
Exactly.
It's like Swifties.
Can we even have a conversation without saying Swifties? I don't know.
I don't know. We said it like
Beyonce
14 times.
Beyonce has the beehives, right? Mm-hmm. She has the beehive. Don't mess with the beehive, by the way. They're vindictive. True. And then Nicki Minaj has what, the Barbies?
Does she? That's a thing?
Yeah, I think they call them Barbies.
I know that she calls herself the Black Barbie, but I didn't know that was a thing.
Or pink Barbie. Something like that. I don't know. Maybe Black Barbie. And then I think Ice Spice has her own people now. Like, I think Taylor Swift started this. Maybe Beyonce was the one that really started it, because she had the beehive forever. Yeah. And then Taylor Swift's like, let me co-sign that. And I've got the Swifties. Right. And now everybody, if you're a big pop star, you have to have like
your
thing.
Followers. Yeah. But is it the people creating the, chicken or the egg? Is it the Swiftie creating the Swifties, or is it Taylor Swift that has created the Swifties?
I think it's dollars in. I really do. And I don't mean to sound cynical, but I think it's dollars in, because first comes the awareness, and then you have to wow them with something. And I think, to Nick's point about virality versus sort of long-term monetization and financial security as a filmmaker to make your next film, the first thing that happens is you have to let people know your movie exists. And then the second thing that has to happen is your movie has to be really, really good, because of that sort of trifurcation and beyond of attention that we just talked about. Like it has to lock you in. I mean, it is a real problem, Tiff. Like, I don't know what we're going to do about it.
Watch. Like, how do you even watch something that's not a mainstream show or movie, because there's already so many of those, you can't even see them all. So,
and the habit of it, it's almost like smoking cigarettes. I go to the theater. I went to the theater to watch the new Planet of the Apes, And I'm just telling you, there were like 3 people in there on their phones while the movie's happening. You literally can't. It's a motor function now. Like you have to pick up your phone, right? Like the way that like people quit smoking by replacing doing something else with their hands and mouth, right?
Right.
Nick?
Yeah.
Hey,
don't.
Yeah, I'm going to refrain.
Okay. so it's so crazy because like, and forget about watching a movie in the house. We were like, oh, let's watch a movie in the house. Like no one's going to go to the theater because of the, well, no. When people watch movies in the house, I'm not sure they even watch it. Like they're on their phone 50% of the time minimum.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a real sort of habit-based attention pull away from the thing you're supposed to be consuming, whether that be your computer, where you're working, a movie you're watching, even at the gym.
There's screens everywhere.
Like you're on your phone, and they have to put up signs in the gym I go to that say, no conversations, don't be on your phone, And it's like, it's not the music. I know what it sounds like when people are playing, or what it looks like when people are playing music to their phone. That's not what they're looking at. Like they're looking at social, or they're watching a show while they're lifting weights, which is unusual and just different. So I think as filmmakers, we have a marketing challenge, and the main thing to understand is you have to put some dollars in, allocate some dollars to that, have a real strategy, and then pick a community you're going to go after. Because if you're going to go after everybody, you're going to fail. Like just try to get virality in a small pocket, I think, because if your movie's really good, it will be shared, and it will sort of have that following, because once people get that aha moment that happens in the movie or at the end, they will share it. And so to me, you could spend the money, but then when you spend the money and the movie's not good, then, or it's not great, frankly, it's kind of like you feel
gypped. A share. Yeah.
Right. And so it's just, now I say that, and you also, if you're, because we're going to talk about Two Lives in Pittsburgh and how it's being distributed, and this sort of TVOD, SVOD, AVOD approach, you get paid for most channels by views. And it's important to know, like, how does Tubi define a view? Tubi's one of 3 streamers that actually makes money, believe it or not. And it's Tubi, Netflix, and there's one other that actually Crackle. Is profitable.
Well, Mubi,
it's not Crackle,
actually. Mubi.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know if Mubi does or not. Mubi's awesome, but I don't know if they do. But on Amazon, they're tracking minutes watched. And so they really put you over a barrel, right?
Yeah. Especially for what you get for those minutes.
You get 6
watched.
cents, I think, for 90 minutes or something like that, which is crazy. What a crazy ripoff. What a class action lawsuit that ought to be. But other places might kind of view as someone that just opened your movie. And I think from that standpoint, you can try to play that game too, where you can just say, I'm going to send my movie out to a bunch of people through some dollars that I put into a particular social media site or Google, and then hope they click on it. And if they click on it, that's a watch. And then I get paid my fee for it. So I just think we as indies have to like find a way to fight back. And I still think that's the hands-off sort of technical, techie, digital strategy. Like that's the hands-off. I want to say easy way, but I know it's not easy to have money. But it's like, I think it's still the easy way. I think the hard way to do it is what, like, there was an indie film that called Sight that a guy named Dr. Ming Wang, it's about his life. And it came out through Angel Studios, and it just had a 1,500 theater run. But he had to grind for about 5 years to get that run, because they made the movie. The studio wasn't going to release it, reneged on its deal or something like that. I might have some of these details wrong. He literally went around the country, place to place, and screened this movie. He amassed this massive email list. He has 2 people that works for him. I know Dr. Wang, and shout out to Dr. Wang. And he would, you know where I watched it, Tiffany? You know where I watched this, Nick? His movie site? I watched it in an Asian buffet. He would, and so how many, and this goes to the point you were making, Nick, earlier, because I did have this conversation just yesterday. How many filmmakers do you know that would have too much pride to screen their film in that way, where the sound isn't perfect and the screen is small?
Right. Yeah. It wasn't meant to be watched this way.
Right. Right.
The way Nolan intended.
Yeah. Yes.
You got it.
And how many artists have you met, music or film? Because I've met a lot, and I'm one of them. I'll be honest with that. I've learned to not, I've trained myself not to be, but I understand the sentiment so deeply, which is there's a type of nobility, how can I put it? It's like there's a sense of shame that comes with paying for people to listen to your stuff or watch your stuff. And how many artists do you know that are like, if my stuff's good enough, people will find it, and therefore they can have a referendum on themselves about, well, it just wasn't good enough, because if it was good enough, something would have happened. And, I'm not going to manipulate the audience into see, right. Don't think that way. I know a lot of musicians that are like that. Like, they don't put money behind their albums or their music, because it's like, I'm here to make the music, bro. And if you don't get it, you don't, like, I'm not going to like pander to you. Like, there's a nobility to it. Like, I don't pander my art to people like that. I don't do that. Like, I make this art. I'm hired.
Because it feels like begging.
Yes.
It's like, you want people to watch it or listen to it because they want to, not because you ask them to. But the reality is, how are they going to want to if they don't know about it?
Exactly.
You got to tell them about it, and
Yeah, I think people have been they've been conditioned. That's all. They've been conditioned, and people don't realize that conditioning exists. It's like, well, what is that conditioning? That conditioning is that you watch a movie because you think it's going to be great. No, you watch a movie because it was presented to you on a platform that you watch. Right? You saw a commercial, you saw an ad on something. You saw a late night television show where your favorite actor's talking about the movie. That's how you found out about it. That's why you want to see it. It's because it was marketed to you, right? It was presented to you, and it wasn't presented to you once, right? It's presented to you in many ways on many different mediums. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
Exactly. So, well, here's the thing. So outside of the marketing thing, I wanted to ask a question. Tiffany, you mentioned earlier, like, you were talking about your roles, and it was like director, DP, writer, producer, like all these things.
Yeah.
And I had a question. Have you ever directed and DP'd on the same project?
I have co-directed and DP'd, actually with Amy on a short film. But I don't typically like to do both roles fully. I feel like they're 2 very important jobs that require a full brain. And so to do both of them, you're inevitably going to be sacrificing one thing or the other. So when I'm DPing, I just want to think about camera and light and movement. And then if something comes to mind that, I can throw to the director, great. But I don't want to also be thinking about performance and, blocking and the next scene and the next scene, So I feel like it takes 2 different parts of my brain, and I don't want to meld those 2 at the risk of missing something, not giving the project justice.
So I love the fact that you put it like that way, like the 2 parts of your brain, because there's this director and DP that I had read about in an article. The name is Reed Morano. I don't know if you're familiar.
Very familiar. Yeah.
But
I actually love her, but I know she does
this. Right. She does this, and she did it on Meadowland. And she said that she even had her own doubts. And that's what she said. She wasn't sure if she could split her brain and operate the camera and stay focused on the emotion of the film, emotion of the shot at the same time. And she had plenty of people tell her, don't do it. Like, bad idea. That is not. I would have
told her the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. But she has no regrets, right? She looks back on it and says that some of that, thinking about the emotion of the shot, thinking about these things, is inherent to the role of the cinematographer, right? It's inherent to the role of the DP. So some of that stuff she was able to do naturally, and it worked out, right? And I think she's done it since. But yeah, she was like, I wasn't sure, but you know what? I did it, and it worked out great. So it was, that's what I was asking. Have you ever done it? And do you think you'll ever do it? Or you think it's just like, nah, my brain doesn't work that way. I won't risk one for the sake of the other.
I think I would if for the right project. It would just depend on all of the circumstances, including my team. I'm a very avid collaborator, and I like to have people surrounding me that all, have the same mindset on how we're approaching the film, but also will challenge me on things like, hey, are you sure that is really the best setup for this situation? So having a strong, solid team that I trust around me, I think it is possible. And that's why, when Amy asked to co-direct and DP this short, I was like, yeah, okay, I trust Amy. It's one location. It's like one actor, two actors, very contained. And so it made sense to co-direct and DP at the same time. And I trust Amy, and we've collaborated on a million things together. So it worked for that. It's not the right choice for everything, but for the right project,
And there's a lot of trust that has to be there. When we did Adult Interference, Stephanie Black and Jackie Phillips co-directed, but I think the end result was Jackie was directing the movie, right? And every once in a while you'd turn to Stephanie for some direction or something like that, but for the most part, Stephanie was acting in the movie. She had co-written it, and
and co-produced as well, right?
After it co-produced. So I think after a while, when you're on set, you start to realize, basically, humans like hierarchy, and a hierarchy starts to form. And there's just that person is the most qualified. They're the leader, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what happens organically. Before we do Things We Should Know with producer Papa Bear, super excited for this. Can you just talk to us a little bit about where the story for Two Lives in Pittsburgh, your new film, came from, and sort of, I guess, why why you chose to work on this particular story, this particular message. It's an interesting movie. It's a good movie. People should go out and watch it. I would love to hear some of your input on the story and some of the challenges of shooting, if there were any.
Challenges is a whole other conversation. Yes,
I was going to say, that's a whole podcast, right?
But
we can get into it. What the f- are we talking about?
So the film originated. So the writer, director, lead actor Brian Silverman. He is an actor and just wasn't getting the right roles. And he was like, okay, well, if I'm not getting the role that I actually want, a juicy, complicated, rough around the edges guy that also has heart, how would I write one for myself? So it kind of started there. And then he is also a teacher in LA County, and a student came out in his class. And he was so moved by the class's reaction of just embracing them and cheering for them. And they're just so excited for this person to finally feel who they are.
Yeah.
And he, while having this idea of wanting to write something for himself, he thought, what if that kind of thing happened in a classroom where I'm from in Pittsburgh? And so he started melding, his childhood in Pittsburgh with his experience of raising a son and being a teacher and, witnessing these things. And so he just started writing, and a couple of years went by and he wound up with Two Lives in Pittsburgh.
And is his son gay or LGBTQ?
No,
Okay.
no, but just the job of being a father, I think, is something that no matter what, you have some sort of attachment to. And that's going to your next question. That's part of what drew me to the film was you don't have to be in the LGBTQ community. You don't have to be a father. You don't have to be a grandmother. There's something in there for everybody. And I was just so moved by the fact that I saw myself in all of these different characters, even though I haven't experienced the things that they are experiencing in the film. I talked to Brian. He was actually PAing on a short film that I was DPing. Mm-hmm. And he just mentioned that he had a feature and it sounded interesting. So I was like, oh, send me a script. Thinking who knows? It could be good, could not. This is some actor that's PAing and also has a script.
That's a lot of people, to be honest.
Yeah.
To be honest. Yeah.
So, but the story sounded interesting. And so I was intrigued. And I got the script and I woke up the next morning and it was 6 a.m. and I was like, I can't sleep. Let me just read the script. It's a quiet morning. And I was bawling and dying laughing by 7. And that's when I was like, okay, this is something really special. And I don't care what I do on it. I just want to be involved. And so that started the journey with Brian and the producer Lola of how I could help make the film happen.
I love that. I mean, I think one of the things when you're reading a script that I always look to is how do I feel in the first 20 pages? Yeah. And if you're laughing in the first 20 pages and you're interested in the characters, there's a good chance that the movie's pretty good. And you want to get a sense that you're in the hands of somebody who is caring for the story. When you're reading that script and you'll know that right away. It's the funniest thing. You'll know it immediately. You don't need a lot of pages. You need 1 or 2, 3 pages. You're like, I don't think this is working. I don't think I'm gonna.
Right.
I don't think I'm gonna finish this.
It's surprising how quickly your brain checks out, and you're like, no, I want to keep going. I think this is going to turn out well, and you just don't feel that connection. It's unfortunate because a lot of films,
it goes beyond grammar and mistakes and format. It's kind of pace along with originality and getting into. I guess the way scripts are written today, you got to turn it around on page 3, then do it again on 10, and then do it again on page 30. I mean, you don't have to, but you kind of you're hooking the reader with these turnarounds and plot devices all the time or plot points.
Remember, Chris, don't waste my time.
Don't
waste my time. That's right. I'm not giving you a chance past page 12. It's I can't. I'm not gonna sit here with this and just hope it gets better. Don't waste my time. It make me laugh.
It'll actually get worse.
Make me mad. Yeah, you gotta make me emote.
Right.
I'll just tell this audience if you don't know, if you're just starting to read scripts and evaluate them, for those out there that are doing that, page 1 through 10 is the best they got. It's to Nick's point. It's not going to get better from there.
Right.
It's going to get worse. Yeah. Act 2 is so hard to write and keep you
because then they're
there.
actually thinking about how to actually make the bullet points happen. Where the first 10 is just fun. Let's just set up where we are.
Set it up. There you go.
Plus, everybody ideates that, Tiffany. Right? When you think about a story, the first thing you think about is, okay, and the movie opens like this, and then you have the ending. So you have the ending and you have the beginning, but you don't have the middle. And that's why, it just can get worse. I mean, is there anything before we bring Papa Bear in that you're willing to mention that you left on the table, a shot that got cut, left on the editing room floor, a shot you wanted to try, but you didn't have the budget for, didn't get to try? Anything you would do differently about this from a DP's POV?
Trying to think. I have such fond memories about the whole process. And Brian and Lola were such great collaborators of like, I mean, we remade the shot list multiple times, from locations to, you know, just times and schedule, all of the things. So we really poured our hearts over the shot list to make sure it was exactly what we wanted in the edit. 'Cause we knew we didn't have the time to just like shoot extra stuff or, you know, try things that maybe didn't work. The first thought that came to mind was some of the driving scenes feel a little rough because it's me in the back seat trying to hold the camera still. And we've got off-road tires on the truck, and Pittsburgh roads are notoriously terrible. So we're just like hitting cobblestones and bumps. And so it feels a little rough, but at the same time, it's supposed to. It's Pittsburgh. It's got texture. It's gritty, you know, and so I don't necessarily mind it as much as I think I did in the moment. Other than that, I don't know that there's anything big that I like would have changed. There was one location I wasn't super enthused about, but we ended up only seeing that moment for like 2 minutes of screen time, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah, that's true. Was this like a DGA or SAG film at all?
It was SAG, yeah.
SAG, sweet. Very, very good. And you're not like allowed to say like what the budget was on it, or you are?
We ran about 250,000.
Okay. Is that what the rebate is in Pennsylvania, or is it? Are they good to shoot in? Like Pennsylvania, is that a good state to shoot in? Like rebate wise.
But
there's a however,
the year we ended up filming, there were a lot of big budget films that shot there that took up the rebate funds.
So
we wound up not being qualified for those tax rebates.
That sucks.
So it was, it was a bummer, but we still made it happen, and we did it all the way we wanted to. So,
are they going to let you cycle back on that? Like, do you get like an extension into like next year's pot, or do they just say no? We just ran out of money. Sorry.
I think it's just by year. I'm not sure on the specifics on that, but I think it's okay. Here's what we have allotted for the year, and we're going to distribute it however they do. Mm-hmm. And if there's no money left over, there's no money left over. So.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is so important, because the percentage you get back just tells half of the tale. The reality is how much money is in the pot. I mean, I'm sitting here in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee, and Tennessee has a pretty competitive rate, but their pot for a long time was only $2 million. Like, that's crazy. Right. That's gone immediately. I think it's now 8. Yeah. And 8's not enough.
Getting there, yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's not even close. I mean, it's just not close. Like, sorry, Bob Raines, I love you, but like, it's not we got to figure something out with the governor, because this is a state that has a $15 to $20 billion surplus. Like, we got to have a bigger pot than that. So you're attracting people in with this rebate, and they don't realize when they go into principal photography that they have almost no chance of actually getting any money back. Last question before things we should know. What did you shoot this on?
We shot on the Sony F55 and one zoom lens. That was the only lens we shot on. So Fuji 19 to 90. Yeah.
You decided that, or was that just a budget constraint, or like what was the deal?
It was a couple different things. One was budget. Two, I mean, in a perfect world, I would have shot this on Cooks. I like the lens, and I like the tone it gives off. I feel like it's very Pittsburgh. Yeah. But one, we're working with a child actor who has never been on camera before. And
I just did that.
Yeah. And two, we had, a short time limit. And so being able to change lenses by just moving a dial was a lot more efficient for us, and saved us a lot of time, so that we could shoot our child actor and her child actor window of allotted time. And I honestly had a great time shooting just one lens, it took another thought out of it. Of course, we shot like it was a prime. So, okay, we're on a 25 now. Now we're on a 40. Now we're on a 60. But being able to kind of adapt those lenses, okay, this room is really tiny. Maybe let's zoom out just a little bit. Was really helpful,
Yeah. Well, the good news is like there's the equipment, but then there's the pro that's using it. And like the film's in great hands because you're the one shooting it, right? It's like all
it's fit for purpose. That's the other part. It's fit for purpose. It does the things that you needed it to do. It's the, it's not like it was like you said, a budget limitation choice. No, it's a really good choice for what you needed to do.
Yeah. I mean, and that's how I go at any film. I look at, okay, what is the best choice for this film? I read a script that screamed The Office to me. And so I was like, okay, we're going to shoot this web series like The Office. Yeah. And maybe that's not every DP's take on it, but for me, I don't go into it thinking, I want to shoot something like The Office. I read the script and let it tell me what I want. Nice. And for this, it just made sense to do a long zoom lens so that we had that variability.
I love that. Cool. Yeah, very, very, very cool point. And there's just a lot of like stuff on the internet, on Instagram, on YouTube about they shot this big movie on this, and just name your video and name your movie. And it's like, yeah, but the DP really matters, and what you did in post really matters. Really matters.
The DP,
you can shoot on anything.
Camera movement, lighting. It's, I mean, even production design changes lighting everything.
So, yes, exactly.
And locations.
All right. As promised, let's bring in.
Wait. No. I'm going to do a Chris. One more question. It's like, I'm kidding. Okay. No, I kid.
Listen, I could stay on this thing.
Damn you.
I could stay on this thing all day.
I know. And then PB's over there waiting. He's like,
the more PB's annoyed. His hair is going to be like a lighter shade of gray by the time he comes on.
Exactly. He's going to be asleep. I bet you he's asleep right now.
Papa Bear's asleep right now. Not asleep. There he is.
Right, there he is.
There
Not
he is.
In the bathroom either.
The man, the myth, the legend. Papa Bear, welcome to the podcast, and I'm excited for you to drop a things we should know on Nick and I, and of course Tiff. Let's get into it. What do you got?
Hello, guys. Talking about cameras.
I
know that a lot of Tiffany's cinematography is in making driving plates. And that's the video that goes on outside of a vehicle when it's used in a film. And nowadays, it's even gotten to the point where the technology has advanced to 360-degree views of what's going on. And so my question for you guys is, who first patented a camera that provided a 360-degree view image, and in what year? So 360-degree view, and in what year? And I think, first of all, we should just say, for those who don't know, most people in this audience are going to know, but a plate is you're getting an image so that it can be used in post, and you can maybe put things in front of it, change it, and it gives you like a baseline for what a room or an environment looks like. So if you wanted to have a kaiju dragon come in out of the sky, you're probably going to need a plate of the skyline so that someone can put that dragon in post and stuff like that. So anyway, Tiffany does this driving plates, and I forget the name of the company you do this with.
Plate Pros.
Plate Pros. Shout out to Plate Pros. Nick, do you have a guess on this 360 camera and what year?
Have you seen Chuck Norris lately? He's still kicking butt and staying active well into his 80s. What's even more shocking is he looks more jacked than ever and seems to have more energy than guys half his age. And it's all thanks to Morning Kick, a revolutionary new daily drink from Roundhouse Provisions that combines ultra-potent greens like spirulina and kale with probiotics, prebiotics, collagen, and even ashwagandha. Just mix with water, stir, and enjoy. Unlike other green drinks out there, this one tastes exactly like strawberry lemonade and has hundreds of 5-star reviews. Go to roundhouseprovisions.com/save44 for up to 44% off your regular priced order. Plus, every purchase is backed by a 90-day money-back guarantee. So if you want to experience smoother digestion, a boost of energy, and just an overall healthier body, then go to roundhouseprovisions.com/save44 today. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Results can vary.
Well, it's obviously Thomas Edison. I just don't know what year
Thomas
exactly
Edison did it. That's probably true.
It. I mean, because it's obvious, it has to be Thomas Edison. But with the year, it just, I'm not sure. Was it?
Doesn't it feel like the last few ones Papa Bear's had, the year's always 1914?
Exactly the year that I was going to say.
It's always 1914. It's like Papa Bear went to the library and checked out a book on all the great things that happened in 1914.
Exactly. So that's the year that I was going to give was 1914 because you're right. It seems like that's the year. So Thomas Edison, 1914.
Yeah, and that book had just tattered edges. It had been read so many times.
Exactly, of course.
You could barely read the print on the front.
Yeah, it's such an interesting year. It's just as interesting as the year 2000.
In the year 2000. Did it go down right there? In the year 2000. In the year 2000. No, I think 1914 was also the year Woodrow Wilson came into office. Or was that 12, PB? You were alive.
Let me think back. I don't think I voted for
you. Look great. You look great. You look great.
Exactly.
You look amazing.
All right, that's my guess, guys. Edison, 1914. I got.
I'm going to guess that this was invented by would I say Ari, or would I say I'm going to say or would like a software company have invented this? Like
look at Tiffany, she's looking at
a cheating, like a
easiest way to get the answer.
Like a Avid, would Avid, a software company, have made this? And then it'd be software because it's software based.
Come on, man.
360
What's the answer?
Right?
Come on now.
Well, Tiffany hasn't made a guess yet.
Yeah,
I honestly have no idea.
I'm going to guess that I'm going to guess that it was invented by Ari, and I'm going to say this happened in 1989 in honor of Taylor Swift.
Wow. A Swifty camera.
I was about to say, there you go. Yeah. All right. What is it, PB?
Well, yeah, you're going to have to push back further than 1914. Think about when cameras were first invented.
Jesus Christ.
Our Lord, amen. Come on, man.
You ready?
So 1989 is like a century off.
You're right.
You're actually more than a century off.
Yeah, okay.
In 1857.
1857, folks.
I'm writing this down. 1857.
M. Gorilla of England patented a camera that rotated around its own axis, becoming the first camera that could capture a full 360-degree view by using fan-governed clockwork mechanics.
Fan-governed clockwork. I'm going to write that down. Fan-governed clock.
Fan.
Wait, F-A-N, right?
Yeah.
That's what I said. Fan-governed.
Okay. Yeah.
Come on, man. Fan-governed clock. Wait, say it. Fan-governed clock. What?
Clockwork
mechanics.
Mechanics. So right now.
So like a fan would spin on its singular axis, you just put a camera there and let it spin.
Mm-hmm. Now,
Editor Kate is probably going to spell this out on this on the edit. Will you spell M? Whoever when you said M, I thought MC Hammer.
It's like
MC Hammer's invented a 360 camera.
I spent more time trying to find out what the M stood for than I did finding this piece of.
Everybody back then hated their first names. It's always DW this or H.W. Walter or like.
Or maybe it was because
they committed too many crimes.
You're right, or they all had the same name.
Stay anonymous.
Well,
just go by M.
Think about.
Like, do you notice that it's always an initial back in the day, like a couple of initials, and then anyway, M what? What's spelled?
Think about M. Night Shyamalan. M. Gorilla. Start with G. A-R-R-E-L-A.
E-L-A. That's actually a really pretty name when you write it down on paper.
M. Gorilla.
So G-A-R-R-E-L-A. Shout out to M. Gorilla, wherever you're at, wherever your family's at. Your family's still eating, thanks to this invention.
Family of gorillas.
It's not the first panoramic camera, but it's the first one that achieved 360 degrees. There was a Joseph Puchberger from Austria who invented the first hand crank driven swing lens panoramic camera in 1840. But his camera only recorded a 150 degree field of view instead of a full 360.
He failed. It didn't work hard enough. M. Gorilla came in and stole his cheese.
Yeah. He had more than double that.
Right. I like it.
That's great, man.
See, that's the thing we should know.
Again, that is a thing. That is a thing we should know. That's a thing Tiffany should know.
Exactly.
Tiffany's going to get jobs because of that.
She's going to now I'm going to go to my boss David and ask him, and if he doesn't know,
boom.
But he knows everything. So
spread the word, spread the knowledge.
He's going to be like, of course, M. Gorilla.
Of course, it's him.
In 1857.
How could you not know this?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Excellent.
Now I said the gorillas were eating off this deal, but I just finished the incredibly long but incredibly great book, The First Tycoon, about Cornelius Vanderbilt. And man, it doesn't take long for your family to burn through your cash, man. It doesn't take long. It doesn't take long. When all of them are just accustomed, they're just accustomed to like having your money, and then you stop producing because you die. Man, oh man, that's the thing I hate about, like, you see that in divorces, Tiffany, where it's like either the man or the woman goes to the judge and says, "Well, I'm accustomed." It's like, hold on, man.
I need this money.
You better stop it. You were accustomed because we were married, so you became accustomed. We are ending this marriage.
No, that's what, Chris. That's the rebuttal. That's the rebuttal. You were accustomed to being married too. You're not that anymore, are you?
Exactly, Nick.
Listen to it because of a contract.
Spot on. Right. Spot on. I think, what is that? Dr. Dre's wife said she was accustomed to spending $700,000 a month. On clothes and stuff like that. Thank you, producer Papa Bear.
She got a bunch of money.
You're accustomed to that. I'm accustomed to having sex 3 times a day.
Right.
With you. Can we continue that?
Right.
I will give you the $700,000 a month, but I need my 3 sexual encounters per day that I've become accustomed to.
That's right, Judge.
That's all. Not a big deal. That's all. That's all is wild. That's all is wild. That's all. I'm not
just
asking too much.
I don't need anything else.
Yeah, that's right. I'm good.
Don't worry about the man you left me for. He'll understand.
Right.
I'm accustomed
to figure it out. Right.
Nick, hit us.
Out. Yes.
Do you want to prep us for this? Culture check?
There might be a little prep.
Do you want to give us a little prep before you?
Well, I got a little notes, just a little something here that I can read as I'm prepping this. Mm-hmm. So, okay, I was reading an article. Sometimes I do that, right? And I spend a little time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I do that. I do that from time to time. And in this article, this is about a it's from about a DP, right? So this, this DP, the cinematographer, was providing some insight on this. I think it was a TV series. It was a comedic TV series that she had been on. I believe it was back in 2019. And what she said was that working on an all-female production was a really unique experience. Okay. She said,
how so frustratingly broad that is. Anyway, go ahead.
No, but listen. It was, it was little like cleaning things up after themselves, or combining forces to solve problems instead of someone insisting their idea was the right way and the only way. So what she's saying here is that this all-female, led team really worked very well together and didn't have this feeling of, and I'm saying in particular, a man coming in and saying, hey, this is my idea, this is the way it should be, and the only way.
Yeah.
And what it reminded me of is this idea of mansplaining.
Yeah.
Right. That's what it kind of seemed to me. Right. It's like, so she's saying, look, we got to kick it. We did all these things. We worked together and we never got mansplained to. And in my mind, I always thought mansplaining was just a man being a man. Like you're being in this position where you're like, I know what's best because of this, this, and this. But I had to look it up just to make sure. And I didn't realize that mansplaining was all of that. Right. Was saying that you're kind of condescending, you're overconfident. But you're overconfident because what you're saying, you're actually inaccurate or you're doing it in overly simplified manner.
Yeah, right? There's a bit of pablum to it.
Exactly. Like you're saying all these things from a position of male authority, right?
Trying to dumb it down for the female.
Exactly. Yeah. But you don't even know what you're talking about to begin with, right? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm just curious, so one thing I have to let you know, who this DP was that wrote this. This DP DP'd 6 episodes of a show called Control Alt Delete back in 2019. Tiffany, do you know who might have?
I think I happen to know that DP very well.
You know that DP very well, right?
So, yeah. As you were starting to say this, I was like, is he quoting me? Does he know this? I think I did that interview.
Yes, you did. So I am quoting you. And here's the thing, and this is the culture check in this, right? It's like, is that really a continued sentiment even now? Like this idea of mansplaining, and I'm going to take the part off about being inaccurate or oversimplification. Right. And I'm actually going to take out the other part of the definition. So I'm going to read the definition. Mansplaining is to comment on or explain something to a woman in a condescending, overconfident, and often inaccurate or oversimplified manner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out a couple of those words because I feel like it's still mansplaining, which are to a woman. Right. And inaccurate or oversimplified. I'm going to keep the rest in and I'm going to ask, is that something that we're still experiencing today, which is mansplaining, which is to comment on or explain something in a condescending and overconfident manner? Is that something that we're still dealing with from men specifically? Right. Or do you find that is that something you battle with? I know that you're kind of in a different, I'm not saying in a different world, but you get to select different projects. Like you said, you pick people, you're on projects that you really enjoy. But is that a thing that you have to deal with even today? Because I know you shift from product to product. That's the benefit of being, having the skills that you have. Yeah. Do you deal with that? Do you deal with being mansplained to because people are just, they're being condescending and overconfident?
Definitely not on a day-to-day basis. I try to surround myself with people that are more aware than that.
Right.
But, I think there will always be people who, for one reason or another, don't realize they're doing it, or do realize they're doing it and want to make sure that that they know more than you. whether, no matter their gender. I think that is, I think most of all it's an ego thing. It's making sure that they feel like the most important person in the room. I think a lot of times we do attribute that with men because of our male dominated, specifically our industry, but also our economy and just the world, how the world runs. Most political leaders are men, and most, CEOs are men. So having that influence, I feel like, makes other men feel like they have to also be as important and more important than anyone else. But, looking back on that interview and that experience, I don't feel like that's specifically a male thing. I've met plenty of women who I didn't gel with for certain reasons, some of which because they have a big ego and they don't want to be wrong. So I think, there's an argument to be made where it's not always just the men that are being mansplaining.
Yes, and that's the key. So just so you know, Chris, before you have a comment, I'm
writing all this down.
I know, but she said it. She said it beautifully, because that was my thinking. Like when you said that, right? When that in that thing, it's like this isn't specific to men, right? This idea of being condescending and overconfident. It's like you said, it's associated with ego, right? It's basically you taking your ego and putting that above everything and everyone else, which is why you're willing to say things that are inaccurate and you're oversimplifying things because, again, you're putting your ego above everyone else. And I think that is really what it comes down to. And I guess the other side of the culture check for me is, like, why doesn't that get talked about? I know maybe it's not sexy, right? Maybe you have to have the male villain in this case, but we know that women do it too, right? Like,
everybody does it, or not everybody, but there's plenty of people of all genders and races and denominations that have ugly attributes, and I think it's I think it is something that should be talked about. I think men are an easy target, whether that's a good thing or not. I don't think it's necessarily a great thing, but I think everyone can be subject to that. And that's why I think we have to continuously check in with ourselves and like, ooh, did I just do that thing that I hate? We have to.
Well, it's sometimes it's hard.
We're not doing the thing.
But it's hard to check yourself, right? And I think that the other part of this conversation about the culture is that I feel like right now we're in the culture where what would happen is, so let's say I did that to you, right? I feel like in this culture, you would go then tell a bunch of people about it, and that crap would show up on my social media, and then there would be a letter, to the people that I work for that they should fire me, right? Like, you're not just going to come tell me that you felt bad, that I did something to you. You would then in turn try to ruin me, right? I think that's what's happening. And I think that's where this idea of the villain is really the problem. Like, you're attacking that man. You're not attacking the behavior, because the behavior isn't specific to me, right? Or my gender. It's something that people do. So check, have that conversation. Don't go behind their backs or to the rest of the world and then tell everybody I'm the villain.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, a big thing is having the conversation. I'm at fault at this sometimes too, where it's easier to complain about something to someone else than actually go directly to the person that hurt you and say, hey, what you said didn't come out right. I don't know. It didn't sit well with me. Let's talk about that. Versus, oh, this person's an asshole and I'm just going to go tell everyone they're an asshole and never hire them. That's not the best way to go about things, but maybe sometimes it's the easiest, because you don't have to actually look someone in the eyes and tell them how it made you feel. Yeah. Which I think all of us are maybe a little scared of doing sometimes.
Well, I have some thoughts.
Oh, do you now? Okay. He's got some notes and some thoughts.
Got some thoughts. I generally just agree with everything you guys said. But can we go somewhere with it where we could maybe address the problem, solve the problem, make sort of gains towards solving the problem, and then at the same time sort of reflect on our own shortcomings, meaning literally me, you, and Tiffany here, Nick, and examine sort of what that is for us on our side, and when we've maybe sort of misstepped or thought, hey, we didn't misstep, that person took that this way. The first thing is we're in this zeitgeist, this culture of all these terms, and they're so closely related, right? I know, so there's mansplaining, but there's also manspreading. And it's like, okay, well, manspreading is where you're sitting too wide in your chair. Well, what if you're exactly, Nick? what if so it's like a triple entendre. What if what you're spreading is your idea? Right? Are you manspreading then? Like your idea is crowding out everybody else's idea. I hear about this in writers' rooms all the time, where it's like that lead writer is dominant in the room. They have like the talking stick and they're never letting it go. You know, that kind of thing, where your ideas don't make it to the forefront or even though it's really good in your mind, because you know, you have a dominant people in the room. We had Charla Larson come on and talk about that last year, and her experience in the writer's room, in different types of writer's room. I don't know if that writer's room was Grand Cru specific, which is the show she wrote for, but she's been in those spaces. Then we have toxic masculinity. Well, what's the difference between mansplaining and toxic masculinity? Can you tell me that, Tiffany? I have no idea. How do you delineate that?
I feel like mansplaining is specific to a direct conversation where you're trying to correct or explain, versus toxic masculinity is a more general statement of like feeling like impressed upon by the men or male identifying members in the room.
So that's closer to manspreading then. Toxic masculinity is a lot closer to manspreading than it is to mansplaining. And so we have all these things. And then on the other side, we have Karens. And I feel bad for anyone named Karen. Karen's a fine name.
I know.
And then and now it's this thing.
Karen's got to get a better marketing rep.
right. Yeah. Get a better PR agent. Well, my problem with Karen is this. It's morphed into this person who just wants justice. It started off as the lady in Central Park calling the cops on a black guy who's bird watching, right?
Right.
Because she's lived in this bubble and there can't be a black guy who's doing something positive in the world, right? But now a Karen is anyone who asks for the manager. Well, sometimes, damn it, the manager needs to be asked for. Sometimes the manager needs to come forth with the solutions.
Sometimes the 15-year-old running the cash register maybe didn't do the right thing.
Guys, I just had a great idea. That's the next thing, Chris. We are going to, I guess we could sell them, because we could do that to make a little bit of money. I think we should just buy them. We should buy them and give them away. But I want a little name tag that I can keep in my pocket. So when crap goes down and I need the manager, I'm gonna reach on the budget, clip my little Karen tag on.
Karen tag.
Exactly. Like,
I'm calling in Karen today.
That's right.
If you're a guy, you just call that a Kevin. Maybe? I'm a Kevin. I want the manager. And so I mentioned Karen because I want to tie it into some other concepts, because I think this is part of the bigger picture of what's going on in society and with us right now, especially between our interaction with other humans of any race or gender. There's a accepted passive aggressiveness that has permeated all of our communications. And it started a really, really long time ago where we were kids and we went up to the bully and said, "Hey man," or "Hey girl, cut that out," or whatever. And we got in trouble for it. And then your parents came to you and said, and the teachers everybody came to you and said, the next time that happens, you find a principal right away, you find a teacher right away, and we are qualified to handle it. You are not. Yep. Okay, you just took my agency away. Then we get older, and we get told, go to human resources. If you have a problem at work, do not go there yourself and talk to them. Mm-hmm. Human resources will take care of it. Yeah. We'll make a file. Our agency again taken away. If you go to a mall and someone sort of like smashes and grabs a bunch of stuff from the Louis Vuitton store, watch the security guard. He will not stop them. He will not try to stop them. That is not the culture I grew up in. I'm not a religious person at all. As a matter of fact, I would consider myself spiritually agnostic at best. But Moses said each person is responsible for his actions, or he is not yet human. So the thing is, still a beast. And so we've been made into these grown children, and we're looking to not be offended or rubbed the wrong way because we can't do anything about it. And we're not allowed to, because there's some authority above us that is going to come down and say, you shouldn't have done that. Right? Somebody comes into your house. Now, not in the state of Tennessee, but in a lot of states, somebody comes to your house, they hurt themselves, they can sue you. Right? They didn't have an anticipation to be injured as they're climbing through your window. That's on you. You should have your window fixed. And you can't hurt them or hit them. So there's this thing that is permeating all of society and not allowing us to be the bold, self-reliant people with high agency we were meant to be. And the other thing I'll just say about this is, you mentioned people wanting to be the most important person in the room. We all know who that person is. We've met that person. That person's annoying. Yeah. That person's been me. That person's been you. That person's been Nick at times, but not a lot. Not a lot. We hope not, right? But here's the thing. Isn't there a most important person in every quote unquote room? And when we think about that person, we close our eyes and actually visualize a room we were in where there was a really important person there. What was that most important person like?
I see me.
They most, right. There you go. They most likely weren't an ego-driven person. They most likely weren't mansplaining. They most likely weren't a Karen. They most likely weren't toxic, being man or woman. But part of the reason why they don't have to be is because they are the most important person in the room. Yeah. They already got there. Yeah. And one thing and I'll just tell you something about men. There is nothing more threatening to a man, especially an ambitious man, than being in a room where he is so far down the social totem pole. And so that's where you start to get that toxic masculinity. You start to get that mansplaining, start to get that ego come out, where they are just trying to survive in this room. They're trying to keep their head above water and have some sense of self worth in the room, because men do this to each other. They say, golly, I should be further in my life. Look at this guy. He's 5 years younger than me, and he's richer than me. He owns this. He has this much money. Blah, blah, blah. We say that stuff to ourselves, and we forget about sort of our inner sort of value system and worth in that moment. And sometimes it pours out of us as a mansplainer or somebody who's being toxic in the room.
Yeah.
I mean, it all
you need your ego to survive.
Right. Yeah.
Your ego keeps you alive.
Yeah. You're talking about thinking of a time when we were in a room with the most important person.
Yeah.
Last weekend during the Cine Gear Expo, Roger Deakins came by our booth.
Oh my God.
It was wild. I will say that. But he is like this sweet older man who is very quiet, very timid, asks the right questions, and is asking questions, and, is genuinely listening and interested. And I mean, it's a great example right there of someone that, like, he captivated a full studio worth of people and a huge,
exactly.
A floor of people just by his presence. And he didn't really have to say much at all.
Exactly. Because one of the most toxic questions in all of Hollywood and all of the film industry is what, Tiffany? It's when people say, who are you? What have you done? I'm right. I'm right, Nick. And the reason why is because the most important person in the room has those credits, and they never get asked that. You already know who they are. Mm-hmm. And so as a way to sort of like level themselves up and push you down a little bit, that question gets asked by some of the worst people in the world to me. But like that is a thing that happens a lot of times. That's a lot of times what happens when you go for financing. It's a lot like you make your resume for that reason. So there is this ebb and flow between, I need to sort of like use my ego here, but I need to master how to use it. For some people, they haven't mastered themselves, their own sort of yin and yang.
It's a confidence without being cocky, you know, like, yeah, everyone should have a level of confidence, but you don't have to force it on other people, you know, like it should be clear to other people that you're confident without having to tell them you're confident.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Tell me you're confident without telling me you're confident.
Exactly.
It's like a Twitter thing. Anyway, Nick, you forgot to do the call, man. So I'm just wondering if you want to end on a nice call of culture check. Like you want to like culture check it for the people.
What do you mean like what I normally do during but this time I was making sure that I culture checked.
Thank you. I mean, there's like a subset of our audience that would be really disappointed if you didn't do that.
didn't drop it on them, right?
Yeah, like 100%.
Well, I had to walk. I had to slow walk Tiffany into that one because she was like, exactly. She was like, all female.
Like, this sounds really
TV series, right? So I didn't want to hit her with a culture check, and that would just blow it all. So yes, that's the culture check for today.
And it's a very good culture check because I'll say this: people are funny and crazy and wild and interesting, and look, there's no doubt about it. It's probably scarier or more dangerous outside your house than inside of it. But you have to go do that. You have to go have the human experience. You have to go see the world and experience these types of people so you can figure out how to socially interact and survive, in a real place. Back in the pandemic, I used to tell people my rule for this year is avoid crazy. Well, if somebody's going to like do something to you, do you really want to confront them in this moment of high stress so that they take it the wrong way and shiv you potentially, or do something crazy? Like you don't want to do that. So I totally get people who don't want to confront the people who offend them and basically leverage some higher authority to be your hero. But I think in general, it's good to be high agency, and the more high agency you are, the less people with you anyway, and because it's just not worth it. So I think it's a good thing to just get out there and be with the people and understand how other human beings interact, especially in the film business. It's a really funny business. Like you go to a conference or maybe you go to a film festival and you get some business cards, and there's this sense like you better have the decency not to call me. It's like, and I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, if I told you I'm going to call you, I'm going to call you. If I told you I'm going to email you, I'm definitely going to email you. And there are people that are there that are kind of like, you're not really going to, I hope you have the decency not to reach out to me. And, I mentioned the movie Sight earlier with Dr. Ming Wang. He hustled his ass for 5 years and worked his way into a 1,500 theater release, made $3.5 million opening weekend, which is great for independent film. I don't think they even budget. I think their budget was $8.5 million, including the P&A. So they still got some work to do. But I think a lot of indie filmmakers would totally take that result. They would take $4 million plus 1,500 theater release. And when you talk to people about it, other film people about it, they're kind of like giving this sort of fake congratulations, this like sort of sourpuss, passive aggressive congratulations.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, like or like this thing where it's like, yeah, that's really great, but was the movie good?
Right.
Or like, oh yeah, it's great, but aren't they still in debt? Like, or
there's always got to be a but.
Yeah, and it feels like that Tyrese congratulations that's that meme, Tiffany, that like Tyrese the singer has.
And now you gotta have to add it to the flipping videos so people can see what the thing is.
Congratulations! That's how they congratulate filmmakers when they do something successful. Yeah. Just like this. Just like this. Congratulations! Crying in their own shirt.
Oh my
not a real congratulations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I just love this culture check because it just speaks to so many things that go on in film and have been going on for a long time, instead of being what you said earlier, Tiffany, which is collaborative. Anyway, Nick, you said you had
and it's a very, very small point, which is when folks don't confront it, like you said, with the high levels of agency, what they do is they turn to the mob. And what I mean by that is
culture is the mob. Exactly.
And the difference is that when you confront something on your own, you're trying to address something for yourself, hopefully so that you have a better relationship with that person. Every mob goes for blood. Period. They're not there to solve the problem between you and the other person or to help the two of you out to be better collaborators. The mob is going for blood, right? So I would just hope that that's one of the things in our culture that we can get away from is the mob mentality that just attacks, because that's the only thing they know how to do, and then ruins the reputation of the person who was the offender in that case, because that gives that person little to no opportunity to actually improve who they are, because that person likely has a skill set that got them to the place where they're in, right? That could be valuable to other collaborators, but now you've taken that skill set away because you've gone for blood. So just addressing the things on your own is always the best way to go.
The golden rule is an amazing thing to go by.
Yeah. True. One more thing on that statement I had said on the interview is, looking back, okay, so yes, we had a great team and like we worked through issues very, efficiently. That also happened on Two Lives with a, 50-50, or, a very diverse crew. So it doesn't have to be all female. It doesn't have to be all male. But what we did do on Two Lives was interview every single person we wanted on set to make sure that they gelled with us. Some personalities just clash. And so we wanted to make sure that we weren't going to have those kind of issues while we're trying to make something on a limited budget with limited amount of time. We didn't have time to deal with ego. There were no egos present on set because we insisted on it, And I think that was something that, was really refreshing for everybody. Like I talked to my gaffer and he was like, that's still one of the best sets I've been on because everyone just had a good time and there was no stress really. I mean, there's always things that come up, but it's different when you're surrounded with people that are there to make a good film because they believe in it.
I love that. I think it's a good place to sort of pivot one more time to you though, Tiffany, and just to wrap this thing up. I mean, is there anything? There's a lot of people who would love to be in your shoes that are listening to this. Independent filmmaker, working in film every day. Wake up, you are who you are. Doing what you do, doing what you love. How fortunate, they would say, and I think we would say that too. It's a blessing. Is there anything you just want to leave this audience with? Any thoughts before we wrap up?
I mean, honestly, it's going right along with what I was just talking about is surround yourself with good people that you trust and acknowledge are smart, intelligent, and confident, but not too confident people. If you surround yourself with the people that you like and that like you and are supportive of your dreams and you support their dreams, anything's possible.
Yeah, I love that. That's really great. That's great. And where can people experience this collaboration that you had on this set? Where can people find this film? Where will they be able to find the film in just a little bit? Where can they learn more about you, support you, contact you if you're open to that, and find you on social? All the things.
So they can find the film twolivesinpittsburgh.com, releasing October 1st on TVOD. So it's Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, those kinds, Tubi, movie. And they can find us on social media. We're on Facebook as Two Lives in Pittsburgh and Instagram as Two Lives in Pittsburgh Film. They can find me personally at T Murray Camera. That's my website and my Instagram. I think that's it.
Good deal. We'll make sure everybody can find that. T Murray Camera is easy enough though for web and for social. I don't think we ever hit this, Tiffany, but can you just give us like the log line of Two Lives in Pittsburgh so people kind of know what the story is, the quick synopsis of it through maybe a log line?
Yeah, so it is about a blue-collared, hardworking guy in Pittsburgh who's raising a kid who comes out as transgender, and their family and community's path to acceptance and understanding. It's a family comedy at its foremost, surrounded by drama elements. Kind of think Little Miss Sunshine meets Kramer versus Kramer.
Oh, wow. Yeah. There was a lot of little elements of comic relief in there. So I think that's spot on. So yeah, that's great. You heard it here first, folks. Go out, check out the film Two Lives in Pittsburgh. That's Two Lives with the number 2. And you can find it anywhere you stream movies for the most part. And make sure you go out and try to buy the movie. Like buy it, like rent it. Will there be DVDs or Blu-rays that come out through Amazon, you think, Tiff?
Currently, that is not the plan, but there's always an option for that as we get into the finer details of our distribution deal.
Yeah, keep us posted on that because really, honestly, this audience should be supporting independent filmmakers, and you can count it on me and Nick. We're going to spend the money. We're going to buy this thing. We're going to rent this thing. We're going to make sure that as much funds goes through to you and the rest of the team as possible and putting your money where your mouth is. And I'm just asking this audience to do the same thing. Really go find the movie, really support independent filmmakers. If you're in the game and you want to see people win, not in the Tyrese crying congratulations way, but in the real way, go out and support Tiffany Murray and team in this film, Two Lives from Pittsburgh. You're going to really love it. You're going to enjoy it. Speaking of loving it and enjoying it, I hope you've loved and enjoyed this conversation and the Make It podcast in general. If you're listening to this, you know that you can listen to this on any audio platform, but the main two are Spotify and Apple. If you're watching this, you're already on YouTube. You know where to find us. Maybe you want to listen to it. You're on a road trip. You're in the car. You watch the first half on YouTube. You want to listen to the second half. I heard from a buddy of mine that said she did that this week. She listened to the first half, watched the second half. I didn't know that was happening. Apparently it's happening. So if you want to listen to it as the second half or whatever, that you watch the first half, just go to Apple or Spotify. You can find us there anywhere you listen to podcasts. If you want to learn more about what we're doing as an organization, you can go to bonsai.film. We have a newsletter. We have a shop. And so do pick up a hat, pick up a T-shirt. We're not just selling hats and T-shirts there. We're trying to actually start a movement. We want people to walk around and have that make it. You see it on Nick's shirt. You saw it on Papa Bear's hat. Make it as your calling cry. It's your way to let other people know you're living the creative life. Simple as that. Walk out of the house and it motivates you. It motivates others to do the same. So go pick up a T-shirt, hat. New designs are dropping in that store like every week. So we always keep the shop up to date. Go do that. We also have a bi-weekly newsletter called Indie Insights. We absolutely love it. It's free. And right now, if you sign up for Indie Insights, you get our new ebook, Movie Money, authored by the one and only, again, our very own Nicholas Buggs. Nick, thank you for putting this together. Movie Money, it's completely free if you sign up with your email to the newsletter. It gives you 42 different ways to raise capital for your independent film. It's a must-have, a must-read, and again, it is 100% free. You can find that at bonsai.film, or you can go to themakeitpodcast.com and check it out there. Last but not least, we are _ Make It Podcast on just about every social, Instagram, TikTok, X. You can find us by searching for the Make It Podcast on Facebook as well and on Pinterest. So we're just all over the place, but _ Make It Podcast will get you where you want to go. You can reach out to Nick directly at nick@bonsai.film. You can email him, or you can find him on social at they call me Mr. Bugs. It's I always get him or me confused. They call me Mr. Bugs. It's a new page for him, but he's there. Keep sending in your Reddit questions to I think Nicholas Bugs. We're going to change that, right, to the same handle. Okay, so that's coming. So eventually, you Redditors out there, you'll see they call me Mr. Bugs on Reddit. If you want to reach out to me, that's easy. I'm on X/Twitter at the Flame in Your Heart. Or I think it's just Flame in Your Heart, actually. And right. but honestly, you can just search Chris Barkley, and I think I'm the most popular Chris Barkley on. I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm not having any talking no ego here. Yeah, I'm just saying that I think if you just type in Chris Barkley, I'll be the first one that comes up. So type in Chris Barkley. I'll show right up. I'm a good follow, and I also answer 100% of your DMs, questions, messages, etc. And so with that, Nick, can you please leave us with the credo?
Sure, of course. And, if you do reach out to Chris, he'll man-spread for you.
I will also man-spread. I do that in the form of JPEG.
Right, exactly. It's a Giphy, right? Exactly.
PNGs are extra.
Right. Yeah. So with that said, to our friends, our family, our fans, our fellow filmmakers out there, be better, be creative, be engaged.
And thank you for listening. Tiffany, can't thank you enough. Talk to you soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nick. Talk to you soon.
Yep, we'll do it again.
All right, brother.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.